Hello, and welcome to National Black Doula Association's Masterclass today. We are here with our special guest, Wendy Strigar. Wendy Strigar is an award-winning serial entrepreneur and the founder of both Good Clean Love, Vaginal Biome Science, and Good Clean Clinical Care. Today's topic will be vaginal microbiome science, and today she's going to highlight women's health in Black women. We want to note that BioMatch is a patented technology and innovative scientific approach applying biomimicry. I think I said that right.
Biomimicry.
Thank you, biomimicry. Thank you
Mhm.
very much.
Yeah.
To the formulation of women's health products.
Yeah.
So we're ready to learn. I'm going to give the floor to you, and I thank you
Yeah.
for coming. And we welcome you from the National Black Doula Association. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And, that was a very sweet and kind introduction. But truthfully, all of that boils down to spending my life, really, years and years since I was having my last baby. She was 3 years old when I started this, and she's 27 now. So that tells you how long I've been working at this. And partly because I was trying to save my own intimate life, right? After 4 babies, I was a wreck. And I would get really terrible products that made me sick. And that's how I started Good Clean Love. And then I was very blessed as time went on to meet people who taught me all these things I'm going to teach you. So,
well, thank you so much for creating this product. We really need it.
Yeah, no, it's true. And, in all the years I've been doing this work, and even all the years I've been on this planet, which is getting to be a long time now, really women's health has not changed one bit. And the standard of care continues to disappoint, and probably nowhere worse than for Black women in this country. So, I'm really honored to be able to share some of this information because I know that it'll make a big difference in how they feel and their birth outcomes. So I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Go to the next slide, Joy.
Okay, so let's just talk quickly about what the vaginal microbiome is. And even though we see a picture here of sort of what your vaginal microbiome space, right? Like the vaginal opening, the ovaries, we see the structure of the vaginal reproductive system. But what I want you to think about is bigger than this. If you've ever heard of your gut microbiome or your gut biome, right? Like most people have heard of that because we've been talking about it for 20 years, right? But what we don't often understand is that the gut biome is actually just part of one whole biome, microbiome that makes up that's in your body. So it starts in your sinuses. It's your oral biome, like in all of this, the same tissue that you have inside your mouth. That's the same kind of mucous membrane that you have in your vagina, right? And it runs all through your gut and then exits out where your vaginal opening is and your rectal opening. So realize that when I'm teaching you about the vaginal microbiome, you may have learned some of these things about the gut microbiome or your oral microbiome, but it's all one thing. It's all connected. And each microbiome area has a different kind of healthy bacteria that protects it. And in the case of the vaginal microbiome, it's a lactobacillus kind of bacteria. Actually, that's true everywhere. But there are specific strains that help us to fight off bad bacteria. So this microbe thing is like, literally we have 3 pounds of microbes in our microbiome, in our body, and it's designed to keep us healthy. So when we know that if our gut microbiome is sick, then we aren't just sick in our gut. Frequently we get a lot of colds or flus or other things, right? So our microbiome doesn't just affect the area that it's in, it affects our whole health. Certainly that's really true for our gut microbiome, but also for our vaginal microbiome. So, so the goal here is just to have good, healthy bacteria to protect you. That's true about all the microbiomes, but that's what we're going to talk about today in the vaginal microbiome. So let's do the next one then. Here's all the things that the vaginal microbiome is designed to do, right? It's supposed to protect against infection, and the lactobacilli, that's the good bacteria, makes lactic acid, and that helps to block the bad bacteria from invading and taking over. And when you have a good, healthy, balanced microbiome, then that supports your pregnancy. When women have a lot of bad bacteria in their microbiome, then they tend to have more preterm birth and miscarriage. And many times they can't get pregnant at all, right? It really affects your fertility. And so the microbiome, it influences, like I said, fertility. It also has a huge impact on your ability to contract STIs. And it really is sort of a bellwether for your long-term vaginal health. And how women often experience that is like odor, discharge, discomfort. Many women have recurrent infections and chronic ones that they just can't get rid of. And all of those things are about their microbiome. Okay, next slide. So when the vaginal microbiome is healthy and there's good bacteria there, that lactic acid production that happens keeps the pH low. And the pH is actually the single most important lever when you're trying to maintain a healthy microbiome, because bad bacteria like high pH and good bacteria can only thrive in low pH. So, one way that you can check and see what's going on with you is with a pH strip, and that'll tell you whether your pH is too high and that you're probably dominating, your microbiome is being dominated by bad bacteria. So when you have a healthy microbiome, it's like a natural antibiotic, because they produce hydrogen peroxide, and those kill the bad bacteria. And also it's kind of sticky, because that lactobacilli will stick to the epithelium of the vagina, and that blocks the pathogens, the bad bacteria, from attaching or getting into the walls of the vagina. And they also calm inflammation. And that's what women feel the most once they start to balance their microbiome, is that they're just like, when you have inflammation, then anything that's inflamed is kind of red, swollen, it hurts, right? So a lot of times when you have pain in your vaginal area, whether it's exterior or interior, that's frequently about inflammation. And so also when you're balanced, then you've got a much higher defense against STIs that come in and that you might be exposed to. So it's really important, actually, and it really affects how you feel every day. So let's do the next one. And the microbiome is not a static system. That's the other thing that's really important to learn. It's dynamic, so that means that it's changing all the time. It changes with how you eat, with whether you sleep, with what your stress is. It changes when you have sex. Changes if you exercise and stay in yoga pants too long, but it also changes throughout the development of your life cycle. So in your childhood, when you're born through a vaginal delivery, you get your mother's microbiome, right? That's how it's first initiated. But, it's very early, and that's why it's important that you get your mother's microbiome, because that's designed to protect you. So babies that are born with a C-section don't get that protection. And then into your reproductive years, as you're a teenager, the idea is that your cycling makes you lactobacilli dominant, and it's supposed to be protective. When you're pregnant, then the pregnancy alone will shift you to a kind of crispatus, which is sort of like known to be the most protective of all lactobacilli. But not every woman has them, and we don't know why this is true. We just only know that it's true. And then, of course, as you're ending that reproductive cycle in your life, your estrogen's dropping, all your reproductive hormones are really at their lowest ebb. And then you have way less lactobacilli, and then you can kind of much more susceptible to BV and other UTI risks. But let me just say that when you don't have the right lactobacilli in any of these phases, that's why we see sometimes even young girls, right? They have yeast infection after yeast infection, or, you might not even be trying to get pregnant, or you can't get pregnant. And that might have everything to do with what kind of lactobacilli that you have. Okay, so we know that as Black doulas, you know that that 13 million babies are born preterm, but that those numbers are way higher for Black infants, and it's the leading cause of death for children under the age of 5. Bacterial vaginosis is really common in the general population. It affects 29% of women, but in Black women, it's over 50%. And frequently those cases are not something you can see with symptoms, right? 84% of the time women don't know they have it. And so those same organisms are responsible for the rates of miscarriage. So when you are constantly carrying these bad bacteria with a bacteria party there, and you don't have the lactobacilli to fight those bad bacteria, and your pH is too high, that's going to increase your miscarriage rate risk by 2 to 5 times. Depending on how much bad bacteria there is, right? So it's really important. This is affecting women of color every day, and we need to do more about it. So I'll show you what we came up with. So let's do the next slide. What you can see on the right side of this slide here is that a lot of products on the market are what you call hyperosmolar. And that's a big word, but what it means is that, and you can see it, right? Like in the top picture, that pink is the cells, right? That's like a healthy cell wall. But you can see when you use something like KY warming, all those cells are stripped away. And so this happens in only 4 hours. So using products that don't support your microbiome actually increases your already bad risk of getting BV and or creating negative consequences for unborn children. So, there's a study actually that was done that Black women who are exposed to ultrasound lubricant, which is really a terribly toxic product with toxic ingredients, had double the risk of new onset BV. And nearly 90% of the new BV cases occurred in Black participants. So, we're working on creating isoosmotic products for ultrasound, and also pap smears do this too. So that doctors and women will have a choice not to use these kind of products. But that's why we kind of go on to promote sort of our biomatch products that are isoosmotic to help women stabilize their microbiome. So let's look at the next one. So here's our products. And I found out and learned a lot about this when I worked with a biophysicist from Johns Hopkins, and he taught me a lot of what he had learned over 30 years. And so isoosmolar means that it matches the cell fluid balance. So there's another chart I could show you. We'll try to bring it next time. But, when you're talking about vaginal mucus and even sperm, the osmolality, which is kind of a big hard word, of those is very low. But when you have ingredients that are in many of these other products, like I was showing you KY, that can be 30 times higher. And so what happens is it pulls out all the moisture from your cells. So you basically slough off the top layer of epithelium, and then that pushes your pH up, and then you're in this dysbiotic vaginal state. So all of our products are designed to help you bring your pH down. They don't harm your epithelium, so it doesn't create that whole dysbiosis thing. And then by bringing your pH down, we provide this specific kind of lactic acid that supports a wide range of the healthy bacteria. And this reset product actually provides that healthiest microbiome, that Crispatus lactobacilli that I was showing you earlier, that really helps to stabilize the microbiome. So even if you don't have it, by using this product set every night, you could actually biomimic your way into a healthy microbiome. And you'll know that it's true because you'll smell it. You'll smell the difference of how you smell. Okay, next slide. So I kind of feel like I've already touched on this, but I feel like it's worth repeating. Black women face some of the highest risks of BV and preterm birth. And many of the products in market are harsh and they are high pH cleansers. I mean, we do all these things to cover up odors. I mean, this is like sort of the craze of the all over body deodorant, but many of those products actually make your own biochemistry less susceptible to good bacteria. And so, you can see that the disparities in this chart. Again, we don't know 100% why this is true. There's some kind of long evolutionary cycle that has made this way. But recognizing your risk and then choosing to use products that help to simulate a healthy microbiome can make a huge, huge difference in both reducing your BV risk, but also supporting better outcomes for pregnancy and your overall health for life. So we're hoping to get a study started at some point where we can show what happens when women use these products over time. But, now I just have word of mouth, and I feel pretty confident that when you're working with a healthy microbiome, you have just all those benefits working for you. So let's look at the next slide. Oh, so these are just the references. That's the last slide. So I don't know if Yolanda, you have any questions. That was a ton of information.
That was a ton of information.
I hope I didn't go too fast. I was trying
you
to
did not.
your
No,
time
you
limit.
did not.
Yeah.
So I do have a couple questions. How can Black women understand their microbiome? Like, what does that take to understand that?
Like all women generally don't have good insights into what's happening in their microbiome. Yeah. And there are some tests in the market that are whole genome tests, whole genome sequencing tests. Unfortunately, doctors don't know how to work with those tests or medical professionals, because they provide relative abundance of germs. Rather than actual counts. And so we have a test that we've developed that is a PCR base with actual counts. And soon that clinical care website will have that available for women so that they can see what's actually in their microbiome, what good bacteria, what bad bacteria, and that's going to help them know what they need to do better. But historically, I just want to say that 2 out of 3 women are misdiagnosed in this country every day with vaginal infections because we don't collect enough data, right? Yeah. We're not actually looking at what bacteria is really there. And frequently we think it's a specific kind of bacteria every time, but frequently gut bacteria shows up in the vaginal microbiome, things like enterococcus or strep that we think we wouldn't see there. And so that frequently doesn't get diagnosed.
Okay. That's good. What is the difference between vaginal microbiome and pH balance?
Well, so vaginal microbiome is the scene in which pH balance exists. So the microbiome, like I was saying earlier, has either a lot of good bacteria, and that's protecting you, or it has some intermediate bacteria that doesn't protect you as well, and then bad bacteria. So what we're always trying to go for is good bacteria, and good bacteria need a really low pH to thrive. So if the pH goes too high, then that's when all the bad bacteria can have a party. So keeping the pH low in the microbiome allows good bacteria to live there and the bad bacteria die off. That's like sort of our body's mechanism of staying safe, right? Is because like if you have good bacteria, they keep making more lactic acid to feed more good bacteria, right? Like it's this evolutionary cycle. But if you have bad bacteria, then you don't have any germs, any good bacteria trying to defend you.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Are there any like practical things that women can do to keep a healthy vaginal microbiome?
Well, so that's why what I do at my company all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those products we showed you are the ones that we would sample for your group,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's a vaginal gel, either our restore or rehydrate gel, and
Mm-hmm.
that actually is pushing the pH down to 3.7. And you have to use it every day for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a vaginal wash called Balance, and that's doing it on the outside. And both of those products are not only reducing your pH, but they're also giving you this lactic acid food so that when good bacteria shows up, it has something to eat, right? It nourishes the good bacteria. And then that product in the middle, the Reset that I pointed out earlier, that is actually putting in good bacteria in the case that you might not have it. So that you might only have to use once or twice a week. And just by keeping that routine going, you can kind of biomimic your way into balancing your microbiome. But as soon as you stop doing it, you're going to go back to your original microbiome.
Okay. So like this.
So it doesn't cure you forever. It's not
Okay.
like we don't know how to do it. That
Okay.
nobody's invented a way to change your microbiome.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's dynamic too, right? Like after you have sex, if you have unprotected sex, your microbiome pH is going to go up because sperm has a really high pH. There's only one day of the month that your microbiome is designed to go up to match sperm microbiome, and that's the day that you ovulate, right? For 24 hours, you have this really kind of thin egg white kind of mucus, right? That you that actually has very high pH. So your pH on that day is up there at 7. But if you use a fertility lubricant, that's pushing your pH up all the time. That seems silly to me. So we have a fertility lubricant that only goes up when cervical mucus is there, when you're ovulating, or sperm. So it adjusts to what's in the environment, which I think is super clever. But anyway, so that's how that works.
Okay. So does this affect your because women are in different stages. They may be in puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause, menopause. Right. How does it affect those different stages in your life, or does it affect it?
Yeah, it totally does, right? So we showed that little slide earlier where we know little children are just starting to cultivate a microbiome, but babies that are born vaginally will take on the microbiome of their mother, right? So that's why it's so important that before you have your baby, you really work to stabilize your microbiome. So you're giving that baby healthy bacteria and not bad bacteria, right? That's one of the things that happens with these preterm births and bad birth outcomes. So I think it's super important before you give birth to regulate your microbiome in that way. And then when you, as you mentioned, as you age and your estrogen levels drop, it's your estrogen, right? It's your hormones that drive this lactobacilli healthy cycle. So that's why women start to get more UTIs and what they call GSM, right? Then that's because their microbiome is compromised because they don't have the estrogen they had when they were younger.
Okay. Now this is my last question for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the higher rates of preterm births in Black communities. Is there anything that doulas can integrate with microbiome education, with prenatal conversations, or when you have?
So I think 100% doulas should be doing this, having these conversations, because many women do not know they have a vaginal microbiome. So it's it took us 20 years to learn we have a gut biome. We think it just lives in our belly, right? But honestly, like I said, we have this microbiome that runs through our whole body. I mean, when you have tooth decay, and I actually just had a tooth pulled yesterday, it can affect you in so many ways. You can get diabetes from tooth decay. You can get mental illness from tooth decay. So that's just in your mouth, right? And, we know that there's so many diseases that you can get from your gut microbiome as well, right? So the same is true about a vaginal microbiome that's never healthy. You can get all kinds of different kinds of really uncomfortable symptomatic conditions that will make you very unhappy and make you feel insecure about yourself, right? You might have a terrible odor that's ongoing and you think that's about you. No, it's not about you. It's about too much bad bacteria. And so when doulas are working with patients who are going to be expecting, if they smell an odor that doesn't seem like a natural vaginal odor, that has like a sour smell to it, or, you know, like just an off scent, right? Then they can say, you know what, damn, let's use some vaginal gel and some vaginal wash and bring the pH down here and put a little bit of this good lactobacilli in there and see if we can get it to take. I mean, I hope that's the outcome of all this.
Yeah.
Because this is the only way that I know that you can regulate it. Even doctors don't really do that, you know. So I'm kind of on the cutting edge here of something. But more and more doctors, I was just at a conference at the Mayo Clinic, and this is true for women with cancer, right? Because we do all kinds of treatments to women. We kill their estrogen supply. And then the number one symptom that makes women with cancer give up their treatment is their vaginal symptoms.
Yeah.
So you know, you have more nerve endings in your vagina than anywhere else in your body.
That makes sense.
More than men, actually. And so if you're having a yeast infection or some other kind of chronic infection, you're feeling it, right? Like it's hard to focus on other things. So yeah, I hope that doulas will take this education and feel like, damn, I'm going to give these people some more good, clean love.
Nice. Thank you so very much.
Yeah. So you can, I actually do TikTok videos about this silliness.
Nice.
So you can follow me on TikTok. I'm constantly talking about vaginal health, and that's under just my name, Wendy Strigar. And Good Clean Love has, of course, an Instagram and a beautiful website, and you can get all these products there. And I know we're going to be providing samples to your community as well. So you can find us easily on social, and we're also available in many, many stores nationwide, and of course, Amazon and all of that. So you can find these products, you know, wherever you go. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate your time tonight and the education.
Yeah.
And
thanks for having me. Really,
Yes.
thanks for having me. It's really an honor, and I really hope we can keep working with you.
Yes,
Of
ma'am.
course. Thank you so much, Wendy. That was amazing. We're going to wrap things up. I'm going to give quick announcements, but again, I just want to give you, another special thank you to you, Wendy. Thank you, Yolanda, for presenting this to our community. I think it's important that we not only educate Black doulas and Black women about the microbiome, but also just recognizing how our lifestyle, plays into the microbiome factors.
Totally, for sure. What you eat and whether you sleep through the night, all those things totally impact your health, for sure.
Habits and things like that. And I think that's something, us as Black women, generally a lot of times, we're learning to put ourselves first, to take care of ourselves, to put ourselves first, just because we have to take care of so many people a lot of times, right? So it's just good 100%. To get this great reminder. I just want to come with some announcements. So we will be having our membership orientation. It'll be on November the 21st. It's going to be on a Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have just become a member with the NBDA and you're looking to learn what all comes with your membership and things like that, that's the perfect event for you. So please head to our events page to sign up for that event. We also are going to be bringing in a 2026 new cohort of ambassadors. So if you're interested in sharing your skills and sharing the work that you do as a doula in your city and things like that, please apply so you can join the NBDA family. Thank you guys for an amazing masterclass, and we'll see you again next month.